Hello, hello. Can you hear me, Mike? Michael.
Hello, I'm here. Sorry, I thought you unmuted.
Right.
I thought you unmuted me, but I was double muted.
No. So, and everybody, we have a little wait here. Mike, are we good?
Yep, think so.
Great. We had a little tech issue with an upgrade, so perfect. So everybody, welcome to our tips and tricks sessions. We're back for the fall, for the winter. So these things will last pretty much every 2 weeks up until the month of June. And today we have our Mike Taylor with us covering managing payment terms in SAP Business One. So if anybody has questions, you've got the chat box and the Q&A, and it's all yours, Mike.
All right. Thank you very much, Tracy. Here we go. Let's jump in. Okay, so today we're going to cover the payment terms, as Tracy mentioned, specifically what are payment terms. We'll do the payment terms window, kind of just a demo in SAP like usual. Installments, cash discounts, price lists, where the defaults are set, how it looks in the incoming payments, and then customer aging. So what are payment terms? Payment terms are just the terms of which you give your customers credit. So of course, if you go to a corner store, your payment terms are cash on, cash immediately. So you pay immediately, but a lot of people give terms to their customers. I think most people understand that, but just so we're on the same page. So we kind of control how long the customer has to pay. Do they pay in installments? Do they get a discount for paying early? And in some cases, those terms link to different price lists. So if you're a distributor, you will give that customer a distributor level price list. And so that's kind of how it works. Just a little bit of an overview. Let's jump into SAP. So I'll just start with the payment terms window. It is administration, setup, business partners, payment terms. There's lots of different ways to get here. Like say you come from the business partner master data, etc. I'll show you that later, but this is the main place to define. I will just find net 30. So this is about as basic as you can get. Probably the most common one you're going to see. So I will go through these different fields. There is always the option for the SAP Help Center. So the payment term setup window, if you're looking for this particular help, this is kind of like SAP's new F1 context help wiki. Lots of good information here with all of the specific fields. If I don't know one of the fields, I will actually go here and check through it. It gives you a lot of good information, and actually usually it gives you a lot of examples. Maybe not on this one, but I know there are other examples of defining the payment terms, so it's always very useful.
Mike, is that help page better than F1?
Yeah, I would say it basically replaced the F1. I think it
It's the
does
SAP
come up.
help, right?
Yeah, I think it does come up now. If you push F1 and D10, it does go here.
Yeah.
So they've officially replaced it. I just I apologize. I don't know what version it was replaced, but yeah, actually this one's local. It's weird. There is an actual wiki version of it too. So I think
Nice.
it's an exact copy. So you could just search for SAP Business One V10 help and look at the central one that's online. Or if you
Okay.
push F1, I think it's just a copy of it. So I usually just I have in my shortcuts just directly to go to it. But it's
If
really great context help.
if ever you had the link for it, could you send it to me in case somebody'd like to have it
Yes, I will
after the
definitely.
session? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
won't
thanks,
go. I
Mike.
won't.
Sorry
I
about
won't.
that.
No problem. That's a good question. I actually seeing it did do it locally, but I won't go through all my bookmarks right now.
Okay.
Um, So back to here, the payment terms code, we'll usually just net 30. Due date, generally, you're going to do it on the posting date. This is kind of sort of, I don't want to say misleading, but it doesn't like, I don't really see many people really using this for anything. Maybe on the AP side, if you're really strict and you want to post it on, like post it as of today's date, but then you want to age it based on the actual AP invoice date and then use the due date off of that where you would make them different. I don't really see that very frequently. I don't see people being that picky. I mean, at least in Canada anyways. Most of the time you're going to do your aging, your due date based on the posting date. And most of the time I see people just backdating their AP invoices. I never see this be a factor at all for AR. It's always based on the posting date. So very simply, this is something I think we kind of all understand, but to kick off just covering all my bases here. So net 30, you take the posting date of the document, and I'll show this in a second, and then it will just automatically add 30 days. So go sales, just do an invoice. I will pull myself up. Oops, multiple addresses. Under accounting, payment terms of net 30. So you can see posting date, and then I just used this. I moved this, so this is in a slightly different place. But you can see it's 30 days after the posting date. So if you move this around, it should move around. So you can see today, you can see the 15th. It'll just move around exactly 30 days from where you're going, right? Pretty straightforward. So if you do move this, you will see that it will recalculate, and you can also manually recalculate it. You could change the due date just to a manual date. One thing I see that, kind of new users will do, which is a big mistake, is they'll click the golden arrow. They'll say, I want to change this to 60 days. And they'll just click 60 days, click update. They don't realize, and maybe they have too much authorizations here, and they should maybe only be on read only, but they just changed the central setting for all net 30 to 60 days. But they thought that because they drilled down that was what they were changing. But when in reality, they need to drop down to change this to net 60, not change the net 30 to be 60 days, if that makes sense. I see that actually quite frequently, so that may have happened to you. So back to the payment terms window, aging off of the posting date. If I move that around, things change. Again, you can do that off the document date. You could do some of these things month end, half start. I don't see these being that common, but you could if you just do it from the month start and age it that way. Tolerance days, I never see these being used, to be honest. I looked through it says the number of days to subtract from the calculated due date. So I tried, and you could put positive and negative numbers in there. So you could say -10, it will be officially 30 days, but it will give you 40 days. You can put +10 and it will end up aging it at 20 days. So I am not, maybe somebody else understands what that's there for. I don't really understand it. The number of installments, this does make sense. You can set up, say 2 installments, and you can say one is at 30 days and one is at 60 days. And this will be something that will split up your aging into the different installments. And it's nice because it will actually break it up on the aging in the subledger. You can apply tax proportionately, or on the first installment, you can modify your credits, whether it distributes it between. These are just the default, so using those, and you can break those up. The interesting thing here, and I'll show you this a little bit later, is you can set 2 installments, have it automatically calculate. But if you're, a common scenario I see is like people will want to put it on 30 days after we install the equipment or something. You can actually change those due dates when you're doing the installments, and you could change those manually. So I'll show you. These will just be the guideline. If you do have these and it's just very straightforward, 30, 60 days, 50%, 50%, that works great, but you can also change them manually. Cash payments. So incoming, or sorry, open incoming payment. This kind of makes it like a point of sale. So if you say, credit card due on, this was just like credit card due upon receipt, like, I don't know, due immediately. You could put this to 0. And if you have this set on open incoming payment, it's going to force you to actually have a credit. It's going to force you to have that invoice paid when you add it. So it'll pop up the window and it'll say, hey, we need to take a payment at that time. So I kind of think of that as like a point of sale, or just it needs to be paid. Mostly the point of sale kind of thing, because maybe you're talking to the person on the phone, they have to pay immediately. You have to take that payment as you're actually taking the document. Cash discounts. This is, thinking back to like accounting 101, your 210 net 30, I think is probably the most famous payment terms. So of course you have 2% if you pay in the first 10 days. Otherwise, you would have net 30. So I'll just bring this back up. So you have your 210. So you could say 2%. So you might make it like this and have that 2% 10 net 30. And of course, you can play around with these. So you make your own type of cash discount. So you can say, does it apply to freight? Does it apply to the tax? The cash discount is based, usually it's going to be posting date. So 10 and 2%. And then you can add that. It's pretty straightforward. Nice thing about this is it's not just something you have to remember. It's something that will actually show up as a cash discount in your incoming payment. So I'll show that as well quickly. So again, thinking of the payment terms, it's not just how the document reacts. It's also how the customer is kind of interacting with you, just in terms of how you are going to treat them. Like, are they a distributor? So you can actually centralize and standardize the customer payment terms into a specific grouping of settings. So you could say maybe they get a standing discount on all their invoices. This interest percentage on receivables is just this particular one is a FYI. This only is for like keeping track of it in the business partner customer record. This doesn't actually tie to the official Dunning wizard. I'll show you that later. Maybe they have a price list that's a dealer price list, and then that's what they'll get. And then you give them the max credit and max commitment limit. So you can have this be, like distributor. This could just be, and then you could say, well, they have the distributor terms, maybe distributor 30 or distributor 60. And so they get, 30 days. They have, as part of their program, they get 2% off if they pay in 10 days. They get a 2% standing discount. They don't have any interest on receivables. You don't track that in this case. They get the dealer price list, and then out of the box, they'll get 10,000 in credit and commitment. So the interesting thing about approaching it this way is it will set all of these factors when you make a new business partner. And so if you make it like this, you don't have to think as much. You can set the price list at the same time. You can set the standing discount. You set the price list. Do I see it being used like this very frequently? Not so much. Usually people just kind of see this as net 30 days, and they'll use that across depending on all their customers who use net 30. But I'll show you why the price list, it's kind of interesting to mix it with the price list out of the box. And with versions before V10, it would actually be kind of annoying, because if you did switch your net 30 to net 60 and it had a different price list, it would attempt to update the pricing. So then you end up with net 30 retail price, net 30 distribution price. But now you can actually disassociate those two things, and I'll show you that later. So I'll just do 3 examples, item type, and let's just pick keyboard. This one is Bornby. So accounting. So this will just be a regular net 30, due in 30 days. Pretty standard. Actually, I'll go make a new one. I'll do the same item. So another keyboard, superseded part number. No. We will do our installments. So I can see with an installment test, I called it, and probably should have called it something more interesting, like 2 installments. You can see that it will have 50% on the first date it's calculated and 50% on the second date it's calculated, but you can actually just move these around. So again, some people like to be able to control this more specifically. Maybe it's on April 1st and May 1st. You can do that. Of course, we can do more customized stuff. You can change this, and this is just kind of the out of the box options of how to do that. So I'll add this and go to new. I'm just making these so we can see them later in the banking module. And we'll do one more with a cash discount. Just warns me here. Good, another one here, and this will that, and then we'll do. Oh, I don't actually have. I'll just quickly add a 210. Actually have a. So very, very easy posting 30, and I will put the discount. Okay, perfect. And I don't think this will show up until I restart it. Okay, accounting 2%. So I did have an AP one. I did not have a AR one. My bad. The reason the reason here I have the AP and the AR is, again, previously that I've had this demo database for a long time, and the reason I have the AP net 30 and the regular net 30 is because the AP would be linked to a vendor price list or just the last purchase price or something. So it actually was kind of annoying back in the day because I couldn't disassociate the pricing from the price list. So I will show you that. Okay, so here's your 2% 10 at 30, and I'll just add this one. So I have the 3 examples. So when we're looking at the price lists, of course, I'm not going to cover the price lists all today, but it's one way that it actually, especially in the 8.8s and the early 9.0s, it just was a fact that you had to link a payment term to a specific price list. It's just kind of sort of annoying. So if you change that on a document, I won't show you, but if you've done payment terms and you switch the payment terms and it is a different price list, it will prompt you to change it. And that could get users that weren't aware in a little bit of trouble when they changed this, especially if it was like an AP price list or something and they weren't paying attention, or maybe they were duplicating a document and they changed that. So it's nice now, and I'll show you how you can do it. Administration, setup, general settings. So this is one of the main areas where you're setting all like kind of the centralized setup. So we'll go system initialize, administration, system initialization, general settings, business partner. So you can see the default terms for customers. We just have it net 30. It's just kind of sort of standard. So you've seen this one before. But now you can have set default price list in general settings instead of payment terms. So this is a very nice kind of disassociation. This is relatively new. This is actually the absolute brand newest version. I just upgraded actually this morning. So this was a nice one too. Apply changes in BP fields to new business partners only. So if you ended up changing the terms on an existing business partner, it wouldn't prompt you to make all of those payment terms changes. So this was added in V10, but this one was just added as of, I don't know, one of the last few patches. I'm not sure exactly where in V10. I could find out if you're interested which one you go up to. But yeah, this totally disassociates what you have in your terms from your sales price list, which I think is a fabulous update. I think that makes things a lot more simple for Order Desk. The Order Desk people can just say, am I updating my payment terms or am I updating my price list? I don't have to intermingle those. Okay, so quickly I will cover so again, that's where you set the defaults. If you choose, you can have that. If you do something like distributor, you can have those linked there. And it does work for a lot of people, but some people do want to disassociate it completely. Okay, so quickly we will do our business partner, then we'll wheel around to an incoming payment quickly, and then we'll just show the customer aging. So most of the things impacted by the payment terms you can see here on this page. So credit limit, this is a demo system, so it's kind of weird, 99 million, but you can have that set automatically. Of course, the price list, if they have a discount, etc. Interest on arrears. This particular field, I would just hide it if the customer was using real dunning terms. We don't cover this in this webinar, but this already has its own annual interest rate based on the dunning terms. So you can check out our other webinar on dunning terms for that. But this one, if you don't use the dunning terms and you do calculate manual interest, would come from the payment terms along with the other factors there. So we'll show the incoming payment with our example. So banking, incoming payments, and I'll just try to show what I just made. So we have a couple of items here. So of course we have our four documents. So this is just the regular one. And you can see here, this will just be our regular net 30 standard. So this is just the most normal one. You can see when it's due. We have the two of our installments. So you can see it's nice there. 1 of 2, 2 of 2. So it's easy for you to break that up and understand what's expected. If they end up paying the whole thing in one shot, you can just do them both at the same time because they're just divided equally. It will add up to the $100.80, and that's not a problem. And then scenario 3, what it looks like is since we're paying within the 10-day window, we actually do get that official cash discount, and the cash discount will give you the calculation. Of course, everybody kind of does it a little bit differently. Occasionally you'll get differences here, and you can just change this easily. Of course, the customer does it within the parameters of what you're doing. Maybe it wasn't clear that they were supposed to take 2% off, not off a freight or whatnot, right? So this will calculate based on whatever the program is you're doing. You can change this to whatever you need, and it will actually write this off and do everything properly for you when you do your incoming payment. So it's nice again with kind of, you don't have to do your installments just manually. You can have them just kind of come through automatically. And as you're doing your aging and you're trying to look at what's due in those date ranges, if you're using like a Payment Wizard or something, you would be able to see that properly there. So the last thing I'm going to show about this is aging. So I'll just do the aging here. So you have the same stuff. Did I do the aging in the wrong date? Yeah, absolutely I did. Where's my example? So I have a few more. And you can see that I have a lot of junk. Yeah, so here are my so installment. So it shows up aged properly based on those dates. So we have the 2024 here based on the due dates. So these are our 4 scenarios. So it does break them up into, again, the installments, and then it shows them as the amount that's due. It does not take out the cash, like the cash discount, because it doesn't know yet if the customer is going to take that cash discount. So it does show up nicely. And again, it's just another benefit to installment 1 and installment 2. If you do installments, it will really help you to manage your aging. Let's switch back to here. So we covered all these things: payment terms, how you relate to your customer, how you can split it into just their payment side, but you can also use SAP to mix that to have not just when they pay, but also their price list and their amount of credit and all that stuff. So it's kind of simple, standardized programs, like a distributor program. We covered the payment terms window with all the options in there, how that works. Installments, we covered that and the basics there. The key point to the installments is you can manually change the due date if you need to. Cash discounts will save you a lot of time if you have early pay discounts, EPD. You can set those up and then you don't have to remember them. It will just show you if they don't take the cash discount, you could just put that discount to 0. If they takes, a couple cents more, a couple cents less, or $1 more, $1 less, whatever, you can adjust that. The link to the price list, it's now easy to separate those things. And then you can actually just have them from the customer group list. Actually, I just wanted to show that quickly. Modules, administration, setup, business partner, customer groups. So you can just have it set by the customer group too. So you can disassociate it from the payment terms and just have it set by the price list, module administration set. I know I go way too fast a lot of the time. Setup, business partner, customer groups. So you can have it set there. So it only changes when you change the customer group. Again, not when you do it based on the terms. So the link to the price list can be close, tighter or looser, I guess you could say, not linked. Payment terms defaults are set in the general settings. We looked at the incoming payments, which matches your payment terms for not only the due date, but also for those 2 scenarios of cash discounts and installment. And we covered the AR aging. So that reflects installments as what would be due for that date. And it handles it in the same way as the incoming payment window would. So that's it for today. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much, Mike.
Yeah, any questions that
Yeah, if anyone has questions, you've got either the chat box or the Q&A. I don't know. I never seem to have this at the same end of my screen, but if you use your mouse and you go down to the bottom, I think the menu comes out there. You can use that.
It always moves around.
I know. I'm not big on Zoom, honestly. I preferred the old system we had. But just while we're waiting, just to remind anybody, so if anybody came in late and is going to want to re-see this video, I'm going to have it on our YouTube page next week, where we have all of our recorded sessions. And in the playlist, you've got everything by topic name, so it's really fun to just go over the topics and find something else if you want to see.
And this is my 46th webinar.
Is it, Mike? My God, time flies.
So
that's amazing.
There are 46. I mean, maybe not 100% of them are on that playlist, but there's 40 something others. So
that's great. No, Mike covers a lot of almost all my English ones. So I don't seem to have any questions here, everybody. Right. So look, Mike, thank you so much. Yeah. Everybody have a great weekend. And for those who are new that don't know how these things work, our next session will be again in 2 weeks. I send the invitations out on Tuesday. And if you need me for anything at all, just send me an email, Tracy@forgestik.com. Thanks a lot, Mike. Bye, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Tracy. Bye.